Okay, I'm going to now show you how to create a report using Microsoft Access 2013. Remember, last time I told you that every tool that you create or every object that you create in a database, it needs you to have a table. If you look on the left, I still have my table 1 that we talked about during our previous tutorial, and I also have query 1. So I'm going to create a report which requires me to show only students who are owing certain amount of money. So I will just open my table now so that you see what information I have in my table. I'm going to double click on my left. I have double clicked table 1 on my left, and then you can see now what is open here at the center of my screen. It's all the information that I captured as the records. So if they ask you and say create a report, your report should show the following headings. It means that from this table, your report should only show certain information from this table, not the whole information. So let's assume that the question says we are going to create a report to show student name, student surname, and student fees. Only the 3. So in this case, it means they would have told you that your report should show student name, student surname, and student fees. It's an example that I'm using now. Obviously, the table will be closed. I opened it so that you can see what I'm talking about. So we will have to close the table and create a report to display the information of student name, student surname, and student fees. But before I close the table, you will see that every time when you create a report, you don't just show all these things that I spoke about, like student name, student surname, and student fees. You will also be told that what information should be displayed from those 3 columns or from those columns that are given to you. So in this case, I can say students that should display on the report should be students who are owing or who are owing the fees of 2,500 and less. It means 2,500 and below, not more than 2,500. So when you look at this table right now, it means my report will only show, when I create a report using the correct method that I'm going to show you, it will only show John. If you look at it, it will be John because John is 2,500. It will also be Mary Mahlangu because Mary Mahlangu saving fees of 150, and also Joseph Sitole because he's having a fees of 350. Why these 3? Because they are below 2,500. So when you create a report, you will close the table, obviously, or anything that is open currently. I'm going to close the table now. Obviously, I will click on the right hand side there on the X as you see it. I'm going to click it now. So I've clicked the closing button, so you can see that nothing is open now on my screen, but I still have my table showing on my left hand side. Now for you to create a report, you will need to create a query because it is the one that will help you to select those few from the main table, table 1. But you don't even open table 1. You don't open it. You will go to create up there. You can see create. I'm going to click it now. So I have clicked create, And then you see that this set of tools now are different from what we saw just a few seconds ago, because this is for creating new objects in Microsoft Access 2013. I'm going to create a report. When you create a report, it's different from creating a query. So, but now that report that I'm going to create, it needs the information that will be created by a query, because a query is the only tool now at the current moment that will help you to extract or to take out few information from the main table. So you are querying the table so that you can put the information that the query took out to a report. So I'm going to use a query to request student name, student surname, student fees which are 2,500 and below. That is a query. The query is the one that can help me to do that. So for you to create that, obviously you will need to use a query design. I'm going to click it now. You see it up there, query design. I'm going to click it now. I've clicked it now. You can see that something happened on my screen. As we have learned during our previous tutorial, that when you say query design, you will get a show table screen where you have to add the table that you are querying from. I'm querying from table 1 because from table 1 I need student name, student surname and student fees. So I will add table 1 to my query design. Then I have to click the table 1 on my show table screen. As you can see, it's indicated there. When it's blue highlighted, when it's highlighted in blue like that, then I will click add button at the bottom there. Then it will be added on my screen. I'm going to do it now. As you can see at the background there, it's added table 1 with all the column headings that I have to choose according to what has to display on my report. My report needs only student name, student surname and student fees as indicated now. So I'm going to close the show table screen or window that is open at the center of my screen using the button close as indicated now. I'm going to click it. So as I clicked it now, you can see that I now have a grid at the bottom like we spoke last time. I'm going to double click all the column headings that are going to display on my report. Remember, a report is our final display, but we have to do it through a query. So I'm going to double click all the column headings that should be included in my report. What you are seeing now is not a report, it's a query. But at the end, all these things that I'm doing are going to be taken to display as a report. I'm going to double click the 3 column headings. Clicked student name. I double click student name. You can see it's now displaying at the bottom. I'm going to double click student surname. You can see student surname is now displaying also at the bottom. I'm going to double click student fees. You can also see student fees is now also displaying at the bottom of the screen. Now I'm going to tell that the display of all the information from these 3 columns, it's only students who are having 2,000 and less fees. Then I go to criteria. You can see criteria there at the bottom in the row of criteria under student fees, there as indicated. In the row of criteria under student fees as indicated right now, I'm going to put my cursor there. Just put my cursor there, is blinking. Then I have to use a mathematical operator that says less than and equals to 2500. I'm going to type it now. As you can see, I've typed in using a mathematical operator that I need information of all the students with the fees which are less than and equals to 2500. So I'm going to run this query with the button run up there, as we have learned during our previous tutorial. Then I will click that button. I'm going to click it now. So as I've clicked the button, you can see now I have a query 2. It's indicated right now because I had my query 1 already. So this query 2 is only displaying all the students but who are owing less than 2000, who are owing more than 2500. So let me run another one that is showing less than 2500. I'm going to run the query now. Now you can see the difference. This one shows all the students who are owing fees of 2500 and less. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to close this query and put the information of query 3 as indicated on a report. I'm going to close the query. It's asking me to save. I will save it as query 3, and even query 2 I will save it as query 2. Now you can see on the left I have my table 1 indicated. I have all my queries, query 1, query 2, query 3. Now all the queries are having different information. I have all the queries displaying students who are having information of fees which are more than 2500. I also have a query which are having student fees which are less than 2500, including the 2500. So now everything is closed but my database is open, you know by now. Then because I'm going to create a report, everything should close like this but not the database. Then I'm going to create a report and put the information of query 3 on a report. This is how I'm going to do it. You click create up there. I clicked it. Now I go to report wizard. Report wizard opens a screen that is report wizard, and then it's asking you, you can see there, are you putting information from a table or a query? Obviously we know that the information comes from a query 3. So I will have to click the drop down arrow that is showing there to choose the correct table, which is my query 3, not table 1. So I clicked there. You can see now I chose query 3. Then on the left hand side, all available fields in query 3 are only student name, student surname, and student fees, because they were created when I was doing query 3. I'm going to add them all to the right hand side to be part of my selected fields using this double arrow. Click it once. I'm going to click it now once. Now you can now see that they are available on my right hand side as selected fields. Then I'm going to click finish so that they can be displayed on my report. So you can see that my report shows that I have query 3, student name, student surname, and student fees. But now we need all the information of all the students to display as a table format on this report. So I'm going to show you how to change so that it displays as a table format on this report, not like the way you see it now. So I'm going to close this current query 3 generated report. Now I'm going to create a report using a tabular format. So this is what we already know, that when you create a report, when you start, you create a report by choosing the information that will be displayed on a report. It's information of query 3. Then I have to add all my column headings to the section of selected fields as indicated. Then now I can't click finish because I have to change the layout of my report to be a tabular layout. So I go to next at the bottom there. You can see it's indicated. So when I say next, it's asking me, do you want to add any grouping levels? So I leave them as they are because the instruction says we must have the student name, student surname, and student fees columns as we see them. So I don't want to change them and display them in a different way, so I will go to next again. Then it's asking you, do you want to sort? We can't sort now. Let's assume there's no information of instruction of sorting. If there was, then it means you would have chosen the head field that you're going to sort with. So let's click next again. This is the screen that you have to change the layout of your report. So I'm going to use my report to display as columns from my table. So I'm going to click columnar. Then I will click next. It says, what title do you want for your report? Let's leave it as query 3 for now. Click finish. Now from this report you can see that you are now showing all the information that is coming from your query. Now you can see there's John Smith, there is Mary Mahlangu, and there's also Joseph Sithole. Even when you scroll down, you will see the information is now on a report which can be printed out. On our next tutorial, we are going to learn on how to create a report and do calculations on a report. When it's looking like a table with the information, you calculate at the bottom where you calculate the total, the using the sum function, average function, and also showing other information on a report using your adding your text that you want to add in design of the report and so on. Thank you. This is how a report looks like. See you on my next tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe at the bottom here on the channel. Just click the button subscribe. It takes only 1 second, so that you also get notifications of any tutorial that I upload on this channel. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy your lesson.